Friday, everybody. Welcome to Getting Real Estate in Vegas. I'm your host, Bridget Magnus, and this is the Vegas Video Network. Many thanks to those of you who are watching on the Vegas Video Network, those who are watching through iTunes. Don't forget to catch all the other great programs, too. Those who are catching us on KSHP AM 1400 Friday evenings between 6 and 10. And, of course, those of you who just decided to quickly pick up an episode on YouTube. Now, don't forget to send your questions, problems, and suggestions by email to gettingreal@vegasvideonetwork.com. Or if you're more of a verbal sort of person, go ahead and call our toll-free listener hotline at 866-966-4599. Now, we're going to get the ball rolling shortly here. I just want to let you know, remind you that we are going to be talking about real estate with a Vegas flair because we do have our own issues here. Let's get it rolling with the Friday figures. All right, it is a fabulous Friday, and we've got some fabulous figures from the GLVR MLS system. As of today, we have 14,667 available units. That is up 13% from last year, but as you may recall, this time last year we were working through the end of the homebuyer tax credit, and so the number of listings was going up. The median price on houses is $135,000, which is down 19% from last year. The price on condos, $62,000. That's down 21% from last year. Of the total, we had 3,416 foreclosed properties. That is up 25% from last year. Median price on those is roughly $100,000. Short sales, 6,350 of those little darlings. That is up 25% from last year, and the median price on those is $110,000. Excuse me, 15% up from last year. Non-distressed sales, we do have 4,699 of those if you don't want to deal with a short sale or a foreclosure. That's up 3% from last year, and the median price on those is $179,000. Now, we did have a bunch of sales in the last 30 days, 4,094 of them to be precise. That is up 4% from last year. Median sales price did slip this week to $107. That's down 17% year over year. Median list price, $110. That also slipped and is down 13% from last year. In addition, we do have 13,606 contingent and pending homes under contract to be sold. That's down 8%, but the important thing that doesn't show up in this headline number is that the number of short sales in that number is down 26%. This is an amazing thing, and it is a good thing, and it's only going to get better from here. I'll explain why in a few minutes. We do also have 4,310 available rentals with a median price of $1,100 and 2,367 new leases. Also a median price of the median price of $1,150. So let's get on to the news here. Now, this first one isn't much of a news story. It's just a study that confirms what most of us already knew. The more someone owes on their home, the less likely the bank is to foreclose. The banks are not anxious to take big losses and are basically trying to delay that big pain as long as they can. Mortgage rates did drop this week. They're now on average 4.51%. And this is great news locally. CNN says that Vegas is one of the top 10 cities in the United States for buying rental property. So go ahead, call me. I can set that up for you. All right. This week, I would like to talk about some of the wonderful things that the Nevada State Legislature has done that affect buyers, sellers, and property owners. I've got 8 pages worth of stuff here, but I'm going to only hit the highlights and the important stuff that's going to make sense, and I'm going to try to compress things just a little bit because there's a lot of legalese that I'm sure you do not care about. Now, this first one made me laugh a little bit here. There is a new provision that says that if you're going to evict somebody, you have to actually post a notice that says when they will be locked out or when the sheriff is going to arrive. And the one that really struck me as they had to make a law for that. A functioning door lock is required on all rental properties. Who knew that they actually had to make a law that says this? I am so sorry, world, that this is what it's come to. The next very important one that I'd like to kind of go over it deals with deficiency judgments. Now that's when after a foreclosure, the bank does have the legal right to come back at you and try to charge you for the difference between what they were able to sell the home for and what you owed. This new law sharply limits what they can do, particularly if there's mortgage insurance involved. Basically, if the FHA or private mortgage insurance has already paid them off, they cannot come after you anymore. Hallelujah! Another important provision is that if they go ahead and try to sic a collections agency on you, there are limits to how much the collections agency is allowed to make off of your misfortune. And perhaps most important is that there is now, they've changed the limit on second mortgages so that it agrees with the first mortgage. So they now only have 6 months instead of 6 years to come after you. I'm sure we can all agree that this is a huge, huge, huge improvement. This next one actually affects all property owners here in Nevada, and that is that if you've got a dangerous or noxious situation on your property, the local government can now tell you it must be fixed within 30 days instead of 90. Now, needless to say, if it is something that requires immediate attention, they can force it sooner. But it's still a great improvement for people who are living near, overgrown houses that have weeds as tall as the front door, things like that. I would also like to point out, during the last session, our legislature passed a law that mandated an energy audit, in essence. Basically, it was a big, long form that asked questions: what are your power bills? What kind of windows do you have? Do you have Energy Star compliant appliances? This form was a big pain in the butt. Hallelujah. This session of the legislature has repealed that. No more energy form. Hooray. Now, one thing that did not pass, and I'd just like to point it out, is that they did try to pass a sales tax on services. Now, this would not only have affected realtors, it would have affected people like accountants and doctors and hairdressers. So I think probably most of us are glad that this one didn't pass. It would certainly have made life a lot more complicated for everybody. This next one deals with foreclosures exclusively, and unfortunately it only applies to banks that are state chartered, and the majority of them are federally regulated. But as far as those state-regulated institutions, they're only allowed to hold on to foreclosed property for 5 years instead of 10. Please don't ask me what's going to happen if they're unable to sell that property within 5 years, because I honestly have no idea how they're going to enforce that. This one affects everybody. It is now illegal to drive while jabbering away on your cell phone or texting without a headset. So go ahead, spend the $20 on a good headset, or risk getting a big ticket. I think there are probably a lot of realtors who are going to be affected by this, but it is a problem that affects everybody in Nevada. Now then, this next one also kind of deals with foreclosures. Specifically, it deals with the asset management company that tries to make sure that the property is in good condition while it is owned by the bank. Now those asset management companies are going to have to meet the same regulations as if they were renting out the property to people. They have to get property management licenses. And there's a teeny little thing tucked away in the bottom of that bill that is going to affect anyone who buys a foreclosed property. The bank is no longer allowed to say, no, we're not giving you any disclosures about what's wrong with the place. The banks are now covered by NRS 113 and must, I repeat, must give you a seller's real property disclosure. Hallelujah. I know, this doesn't sound like a big deal to you, but it is a big deal to those of us who deal with these properties on a daily basis. The next thing is going to help you people who are involved in a short sale. The law now says that the bank must respond within 90 days. And I have talked to the people who got this bill passed, and they are telling me that the state attorney general is going to be enforcing it. So go ahead, keep track of when you sent those documents into the bank, because they only have 90 days. Furthermore, they cannot ask for a deficiency judgment if they agree to the short sale in most cases. These are huge improvements. I know they sound dull and tedious, but it's important, and it's going to affect properties in your neighborhood. And that ends all 8 pages of the legislative update from the Nevada Association of Realtors. So then we're going to take a little break, and then I'm going to talk about some more important news that affects you. Let's go.
Hey, I'm Al Man. Is that how you get them to do that all the time? Just sit there and be an ass. Is that it? Hey, I'm Al. Hey, I'm Al Mancini at Top of the Food Chain. You are watching the Vegas Video Network. We got big forks, big spoons. I got a big mouth. I got no guests.
All right, do be sure to watch Al. He's fun. We're now going to talk about a ruling, actually 3 rulings that came from the Nevada Supreme Court last week. I know this is a big law episode. I'm sorry. This one is going to affect those of you who have had a notice of default, and any of you that want to participate in the foreclosure mediation program. I strongly recommend, if your house is in foreclosure, that you participate in this program, and I'm going to explain why. The Nevada Supreme Court has decided that they're not going to take any guff from the banks anymore. Among the things that they decided, not once, but 3 times, is they have to prove that they have the right to foreclose on your home through something called a chain of title. Now, what the heck does that mean? Let's just say that you got yourself a loan from ABC Mortgage Company. Then ABC sold that loan to Countrywide. Well, Countrywide is no longer with us. They were sold off to Bank of America. Now Bank of America has to prove that along every step of the way, they did everything right with that document and made sure it was signed over to the right executives at the right time. It's a big deal in this age of robo-signing, so keep that in mind as we go on. The court further ruled that the bank must send someone to that mediation who has the authority to negotiate a permanent modification. They cannot say, okay, yeah, that sounds good, but let me run this past my manager, let me run it past the investors. No, that is going to make the judge very angry, because if you have to run it past a boss or an investor, you don't have the authority to do that, do you now? The banks also have to bring all the documents involved in your case. Those documents must be signed properly. And I realize this is going to sound very, very picky, but they cannot pass off a broker's price opinion as an appraisal. Now, what's the difference? A broker's price appraisal is basically when a realtor like myself puts together for the bank a reasonable estimate of what we think the house will sell for. The last line of this usually reads that, we are doing this with the anticipation that we're going to get the listing. Appraisal, on the other hand, the appraiser has a completely different license from a realtor. They do not care how much the house will sell for, they care what the house is worth. And these two things are not interchangeable, and appraisers have been yelling about this for years, that they are not the same thing. The Supreme Court agrees with them. So I'm just going to boil this away into its most simple form. If you receive a notice of default on your home, go ahead, spend a couple $100 on the foreclosure mediation program here in Nevada. There is a judge there who will insist that the bank follows the law. It is your #1 best chance at keeping your home. So then, I do hope that everybody's going to join us next week for some more Fantastic Friday figures and everything else. Do be sure to go ahead and tune into all the other great shows on the Vegas Video Network, either here or through iTunes. And don't forget to tune in this evening on KSHP 1400 to listen to us on the radio. Send your questions to gettingreal@vegasvideonetwork.com. Go ahead and call in your comments to our toll-free listener hotline at 866-966-4599. If you have a personal real estate issue that I can help you with, go on and find my contact information right at the very top of bridgetmagnus.com, and I will see you next time. Have a terrific weekend.